Never in a million years had I imagined myself lurking on a human doorstep, yet there I stood, consumed by uncontrollable urges. It was all the fault of my wolf, succumbing to the irresistible scent of her purity and driving me to claim her. And damn him, I savored every moment of it. But now, the consequences haunted me, gnawing at my sanity. All I could think of was her, Kayla Rivera. Sending her away to her family was supposed to cleanse me of the crime I committed against her. But it only amplified the feelings I didn't know I harbored. Are they really genuine emotions or mere longing? Regardless, I craved her presence like air, and nothing would stand in my way. I pressed the doorbell, and the door swung open almost immediately. Her smile vanished, replaced by sheer terror as she laid eyes on me instead of whoever she had expected. Was she expecting her new or childhood boyfriend? The thought stirred a pang of jealousy within me. I had believed I possessed the strength to suppress these nauseating emotions, but they overwhelmed me. I missed her more than I dared to admit. "Hi, mate," I greeted, my wolf practically wagging his tail with joy at seeing her again. She staggered backward, her movements clumsy, knocking over objects in her path as if trying to escape the overwhelming force of my presence. Panic etched lines of distress upon her features that pierced through me like a blade. Her aunt came through, her tone filled with concern towards her niece. Kayla attempted to shut the door on me. I resisted, holding it in place, watching her panic. Despite her pretense of not recognizing me, I couldn't help feeling a twisted sense of satisfaction at her reaction. I turned to her aunt, who glanced between me and her niece, clearly seeking some explanation for my sudden appearance. "I'm your niece's man and she's coming with me," I stated firmly, meaning every word, regardless of their approval. I couldn't care less about their objections. Kayla turned to her aunt, her eyes wide with worry. Expecting the old woman to erupt into a scene, I was surprised when she remained composed and calmly invited me in for dinner, mentioning that her niece had prepared it. I was about to decline, but Kayla's immediate disapproval coerced me into accepting. Before she could protest further, I pushed past them and into their tiny yet cozy home. "Do you even know who you're inviting into the house, Aunt?" I heard Kayla question her aunt in an angry whisper. "I'll find it out soon," her aunt replied cryptically. "He seems to know something you're not telling me," she added. "Aunt," Kayla snapped, clearly exasperated, as if she wanted to cry. "God, Kayla, you'll give me a heart attack. I hate hospitals," her aunt retorted with a sigh. "Why are you overreacting so much?" she asked, as she made her way into the visible kitchen. Surveying their unbelievably tiny house, I scarcely noticed Kayla's presence until she spoke up. "We need to talk," she said, already turning towards the door. "Stop," I commanded, and she froze in her tracks. Deliberately, I began to stride towards her. As she started to stagger backwards, I halted. "If you want to talk, we can, but understand this," I asserted, my voice even. "The moment we step outside, you're not coming back in. I'm taking you back with me to the pack house." Before she could react to my proposition, her aunt called for us. Kayla obliged, and I followed behind her. The aroma of the food wafted enticingly, but my focus was singular. I pulled out an extra dining chair and settled across from Kayla. Glancing at my watch, I addressed her. "I don't have all the time, so be quick with whatever you're doing so we can leave," I said firmly. She shot me a death glare. When her aunt looked her way, she swiftly masked it with a fake smile as she scooped up a spoonful of food into her mouth. Damn, she looked cute when annoyed. How had I not noticed it before? "Aren't you eating?" the old woman asked. "Not interested," I replied, barely sparing her a glance. Kayla shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her eyes darting between her plate, me and her aunt. It was evident that she wanted to say something, perhaps to confront me or to plead her case, but she held her tongue. Ignoring the palpable discomfort, I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms, casually enjoying the scene. As she took another reluctant spoonful food into her mouth, her aunt's gaze shifted between us, sensing the unease that hung between the two of us like a heavy cloak. Ignoring the probing scrutiny, I leaned forward, my eyes locked onto Kayla's. "Time's ticking, mate," I reminded her through our mind link, my tone tinged with impatience. "We don't have all night." She swallowed her mouthful of food, her eyes flickering with irritation before she composed herself enough to speak. "I can't," she muttered through the mind link too, setting down her spoon with a clatter. "I can't leave her alone in the house. She's not in good condition." Understanding the gravity of her situation, I reached into the pocket of my coat and retrieved my phone, and with a few swift taps, I accessed the contact for my private hospital, my fingers moving with purpose as I dialed the number. As the call connected, I wasted no time in issuing my instructions to the doctor. "This is an urgent request," I stated firmly, my tone brooking no argument. "I need 2 nurses dispatched immediately to the address I'm sending you." After relaying Kayla's address and providing a brief overview of her aunt's condition, I emphasized the importance of their prompt arrival. "It's imperative that they tend to her needs without delay." With a quick confirmation from the doctor on the other end, I ended the call and smoothly tucked my phone back into my pocket. Turning my focus back to her, I adopted a determined expression, leaving no room for further excuses. "Your aunt will be in good hands," I stated, my gaze locking onto hers. "Now, let's get you back to where you belong, with me, at the pack house." I allowed a moment for my words to sink in before continuing. "I'll be waiting outside in 2 minutes," I informed her decisively, leaving no room for negotiation. "Find a way to explain to your aunt." With that, I slipped out of their house. As I reached my car, parked just a few paces away, I retrieved a cigarette from the pack in the glove compartment. Flicking the lighter, I inhaled deeply, letting the smoke fill my lungs, momentarily soothing the tension that coiled within me. It was a habit born of nerves, a fleeting distraction. The faint scent of tobacco mingled with the crisp night air as I exhaled slowly, my thoughts consumed by only one person, Kayla. Moments later, I heard the soft click, and I turned to see Kayla emerging from her house, her gait unhurried as she made her way toward me. With measured steps, she approached me, her mien betraying no hint of the internal conflict I knew she must be feeling. I took one last drag from my cigarette before stubbing it out beneath my heel, the faint scent of smoke lingering in the air. I opened the door for her, gesturing for her to slip into the passenger seat beside me. Wordlessly, she complied, settling into her seat with a quiet resolve that spoke volumes. I rounded the car and slipped into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life as I turned the key, the familiar hum filling the air as we set off towards the pack house. The drive to the pack house was a silent one. The only sound was the soft hum of the engine and the occasional rustle of leaves as we passed through the dense forest. Kayla remained lost in her thoughts beside me, her gaze fixed on the passing scenery. Pulling into the driveway, I parked the car and cut the engine before turning into her, gesturing for her to follow me as we made our way inside. As we reached my chamber, she lingered on the door of my room for a moment, but I gently held her hand and pulled her inside. Without delay, I gently tipped her chin upward, compelling her to meet my gaze. The instant my fingers made contact, she tensed. "Please don't do it again. I won't be able to handle it this time," she pleaded, tears shimmering in her eyes. Though my wolf-urged restraint, my desire surged, overpowering any semblance of control. Ignoring my wolf, I tenderly traced my thumb over the mark on her neck, eliciting tremors. "I promise it won't be painful this time. I promise to make you enjoy every second of it," I assured her softly before scooping her up into my arms and drawing her into a tender kiss.